Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this Thursday, January 16th. Man, do we have some good games on this weekend, okay? Got the Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez coming up here shortly, probably after the break sometime, and we'll talk about the this week's playoff games and, of course, the national championship game here. We'll see how that goes. But first, let's take our first and only break. We'll be back here momentarily and hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming.
All righty then. We've got the Mad New Yorker here. Crowd likes you, man. You and Keith, y'all are big stars here on the Real Sports Scope. How's it going today?
It's going, man. I'm trying to recover from this weather, trying to keep me down, but I'm doing all right.
You sound pretty good. Sound like you're recovering.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there, man. I'm trying to get there. I'm not in Dion's situation, but I'm getting there.
Well, you sound like you went from limited to full practice participant if we were doing it on the game thing. Yeah, Carlos was giving me a heads up each day leading up to today. So it seems like you were getting better each day, kind of like monitoring an NFL practice, you know.
But you got to get your liquids in, man. You got to get your fluids. You got to follow instructions so you can get off the bed and get into
Stay in that water. That's right, man.
Sir.
That's what's up. Okay. Well, Mike Vrabel's now the new Patriots head coach there. Keith Engel seems to like it. I think it's a pretty good fit. It just depends on, what kind of situation that he how much is he going to be able to work with the general manager and whatnot. I think that'll be fine. Elliott Wolf, I think he has learned a lot, like he said. Sounds like a good fit. What do you think about Mike Vrabel? Had a pretty good record here, had a winning record here in Tennessee. Goes back to where he played at, originally a team that drafted him with the New England Patriots.
Well, at least he knows the neighborhood. He knows, so he don't have to worry about his kids and that, being relocated. He knows the area. He's played there a lot of years in his career. I think the most important thing is that the owner likes him and he likes the owner. If that GM if they all can get on the same page, they're gonna build something there upon like what was left over, right? So it's a rebuilding situation, which also gives him a little bit more time, right? Like if they lose in the next 3 seasons, he's not gonna get fired. So I think it's a good situation for him, but my opinion is this: like, I don't think the Patriots are going to be as competitive as they want to be, because I'm not sure, in my mind, if they're going to find any person who's going to take like a Tom Brady discount, because that's one of the biggest, or Peyton Manning discounts, because that was like, those are two of the reasons, like those quarterbacks got where they got was because they were willing to like, okay, I know I get paid this much, but
May is on a rookie contract. I mean,
yeah, but he's not the quarterback. He's okay. Everybody's pushing him up just to build his kid's confidence, but he hasn't proven anything. And he goes to a school that's not proven to put out good quarterbacks anyway. So if you feel good about having him, thinking that he's your future, fine. But now you got a new coach in there, you got a new regime. Let's see where it goes. Again, you said he's not getting paid, so who's to say they're not going to try to bring in somebody else in the near future? Because I
doubt that. Well, we'll see. I mean, he has to. For one thing, Vrabel's got to fill out his staff.
Right. Again, like this isn't as much as they're rebuilding there in the Patriots. The NFL league is not a developmental league, man. So things get moved, money happens, and people need to see a return on investment. And I don't foresee the Patriots being in a Super Bowl in the next 5 years at all. Maybe in the playoffs, but not in the Super Bowl.
Colin Cowherd thinks they'll make the playoffs next year because of this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, how many teams have been in the playoffs this year that you didn't think was going to be there?
Well, who would have thought Washington would have got there?
So are they?
Washington's won more games this year than they have since 1991. I mean, that tells you what, 130, 120 million, 132 million, depending on what site you look at. Cap money, number 4 overall pick, already got your quarterback in place. I mean, that is a really good situation. Now, he's just now getting his staff, and he just got the job this week. So we got to see how it all fluctuates. I think, like Keith said last night, I think he has learned a lot from his experience, Vrabel, with Tennessee. And he even said in an interview with the local press there up in New England area that he understands that there's certain players throughout the draft that he doesn't have all the access to because he's out coaching and developing, and he don't have the time to put in. So I'm glad that he made that comment and not saying that, I won't final say on every player. I mean, that's just not going to work, even with the oldest, most experienced coaches. That's got that job because Belichick wanted to pick all the players in the draft, and the roster was it's taking a major hit. So it sounds like I said it's the best job out there, man. I mean, Kraft is easy to play for, the money, the quarterback, the early picks.
I just think with Kraft, he's a little bit older now. So
yeah, he is.
So he's a little.
Than 20 years.
You know what happens when you get older, and like even look at Jerry Jones and what's going on over there. But the most important thing for an owner of any sport and any team is like, listen, situate yourself with people that are in tune with the game, that know the game, and just be an owner, man. Have fun and enjoy what you have. Like, meddling and doing all that other stuff is not necessary. If he's
the least meddling owner I think out there, other than maybe Gail Benson, who she just lets Mickey Loomis in New Orleans just keep them busted on the cap every year.
Well, I mean, you say that, but he had a coach. He just fired a coach to get a new coach. So,
well, he didn't want to hire that guy, man. He got backed into a corner with Gerard Mayo, and I think the second Mayo started talking in that press conference, he thought, "Yep, I done made a mistake here, but I promised Bill Belichick I was going to do this." And the guy's a billionaire. He's like, "I can pay that." It's a rounding error. I could pay that contract off. And Mayo wasn't ready for that. You could tell.
No, we'll see. And again, I'm watching the Jets, the Dolphins. They're not gonna be progressing.
The division don't look world beaters.
Yeah, so if their biggest competition or their most time in competition is in this division, it's like letting an AFC South team go into a playoff. They're just gonna be there, but
pipeline to North Carolina in future draft. Yeah, see, now that's what you don't want.
Right.
I mean, you got to overturn every single rock. Don't be like Belichick and just check in with your friends and your acquaintances for draft picks like he did with Herm Edwards and N'Keal Harry, which I'm still trying to figure out where N'Keal Harry is. Now, back of a milk carton somewhere. But he was the guy drafted ahead of guys like Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown. But you know what? I do think Vrabel is going to be pretty good. Everything I said the other night and this week leading up to this show about him is, he had Tennessee ready in big games. The stuff with Tennessee, the team just fell apart all at once. The offensive line fell apart all at once. The quarterback started falling apart. There was a disconnect between him and John Robertson at the very end. And it was just the domino effect. And everything kind of went down all at once here.
Well, the guy couldn't keep coordinators. They were all leaving him for a head coaching job. So
Arthur Smith got a job in Atlanta.
Everybody kept every time he had.
And the other guy got a DUI and lied about it.
Right. So every time he had an opportunity, they just kept leaving him. So, which is part of the business, but it's hard to.
It's part of being successful.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not an easy job. So.
Not an easy job. We'll see. I think that's a great setup. I thought it was the best available job. What do you think about this stuff that just keeps coming up, man? With Mike McCarthy. This time last week, we thought it was going to be all good. Now McCarthy's out the door. I like him. I think he's a great fit in Chicago. But Dallas here, this Deion stuff, man. I'm Deion. I don't know if I want this.
Yeah, I'm with you. My thing first on McCarthy is he's holding off right now to see what the latest news is going to be. The thing with Deion is that I wouldn't, if I were him in the situation that he is, even though the opportunity is there and it's for the taking, I would kind of put a pause in there. I would enjoy the college game for another season or two. There's no rush to get out of that situation. He's in control. He has, we got a Brandon situation going there. He's got, opportunity to be in bowl games and stuff. He's got an opportunity to get.
Yeah, he's totally the boss.
Yeah, he's got opportunity to build his team up. He's done it in the last 2 seasons. This is going to be the 3rd season, so they're going to be even better. They're supposed to be even better this coming season. So, there's nothing but positives to be in that situation that he's now. To go to the NFL, which is a totally different monster, and then know that the guy that hired you could potentially just fire you, and because he's not he doesn't like 1 or 2 things about what's going on in the situation that he put you in. So I'm not saying that Jerry Jones is a bad person because everybody talks well about the man. I'm just saying that he's not consistent enough. And I wouldn't feel, even if they gave me the job, I don't know if I'd take that, man, because this guy wants.
Who would want it? I mean, maybe if you're first time head coach and you're really young,
right? And then you don't get a quarterback, you don't get you don't start new with the quarterback. You who's going to be the GM, who's what are all these things that are going to go in play, and then. Deion's he's the one who's driving the deal because at the end it's going to be he's in control of the situation because if he's going to ask what is he asking for from the Dallas Cowboys, so he's
definitely Michael the offensive line, yeah
he's in a good situation to either take the job or just let it go, let it pass by and wait. But if I was in Deion's shoes. And from my perspective and what I see is going on, I would just hold off the NFL for a couple more years.
Yeah.
Especially, let your son get drafted. Let him have all the get his brand out there. Let him get all the shine.
Yeah, Joe Platt made a good point, the guy that calls the college games. He says Deion wants to watch his son play. He don't want to be out here competing. A couple of things. Remember, we talked about this about a year ago. I almost guaranteed that Florida job was going to be open.
Mm-hmm.
And DJ Lagway, this quarterback sensation, saved that coach down there's job. Can't remember his name, but saved his job. And for whatever reason, Florida State just did not want to fire Mike Norwell off of one bad year from going undefeated the season before that at Florida State. So the big jobs did not come open in the college games like I thought they possibly would. And I think Deion was a little thrown off by that. But he's got some good players come in. Let me read you guys this real quick. This site I follow called NFL Rookie Watch. This came out this afternoon. This is rumors and stuff. Schroeder Sanders, the son, is reportedly very open to the idea of becoming the next franchise quarterback for Dallas. Multiple NFL executives, scouts reportedly believe Jerry Jones would easily do one of the following in order to acquire Schroeder and son, or Deion and his son Schroeder, trade up in the draft and have Schroeder sit behind Dak for a period of time, trade Dak on a substantial financial penalties. There are rumors circling that Cleveland, New York, and Tennessee would all have interest if Prescott become available to the subpar quarterback class, Jerry Jones. That would be interesting. How much would they give up to move up from 12 to 1? Now, remember, Jerry's 82 years old. I think he's going to be 82 this year, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think the idea of that? That's crazy talk, but they love to make big splashes.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing. Just because you have all this happen, it takes him about a season or two to get adjusted anyway. So,
Who, Schroeder or Deion?
No, Deion. And then you'll just have
for the NFL as
yeah,
a coach.
So, look, life is gonna happen no matter what. This guy's rich. If he wants Deion to suck and help Dallas and bring up their brand a little bit, because right now it's sufferable. He's not making. He's making money, but I'm sure he would like to see more money signs. I'm fine. I mean, but just because you're getting players, just because you're getting coaches, it doesn't guarantee you a Super Bowl. I mean, that's just that's a
They're
fact.
going to take a big hit on Dak's money, on Dak Prescott's contract, no matter what. Like I was telling Keith yesterday, that's not one of my favorite jobs available. You got $90 million in CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, and they both missed games last year.
Yeah, and for a team that didn't want to get involved in the free market agency last season, now they're going to just try to throw everything together and throw people around this season. That just calls for
that would be good for New York or Cleveland or Tennessee, because they'll get a whole lot of picks.
Yeah, that's a volatile. That's a volatile situation in which, again, you're a new coach. You're gonna want to calm the fires down there in Dallas. Like, it's already hot down there, man. You don't want to be in that mess, man.
What do you think they would have to give Tennessee, man? 4 or 5 first-round picks to come up 11 spots?
No, first of all, they'll never give 4. They'll probably start with 2.
Remember what RG3? Remember what Washington gave the Rams to get RG3? It was like 3 first-round picks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
And that was just a few picks up.
Right.
We're talking 11, 12 years ago.
Right, and on top of that, they still chose Cousins after that.
They got Cousins in the 4th round. Cousins was a better player,
Crazy. But, it's good for Dallas in the sense where Jerry Jones knows that he put himself in a tight situation because he he didn't do his due diligence last season. So now he's got to make up ground after a bad season due to injuries and whatever, So, but what Dallas fans just don't want what they had this year, right? So,
yeah. I'm trying to see what they did. A haul of 8 players, and now I wanted to see. That was just a lot, man. Here's the thing about Dallas. They their bark is way worse than their bite. Now, Dan Snyder would do something crazy, like he's no longer owning the Commanders or the Washington Redskins.
Right, thank goodness. But you can see what that turned out.
Right. Jerry Jones wants us to talk about. Jerry Jones wants us to talk about that. Then at the end of the day, they're going to not do nothing.
Michael Gott talks about it.
He'll act like he's going to move off a player, and then Dickus traded everything for Ricky Williams, and Williams was hurt a lot.
Right. What happened with that? Yeah. So these Look,
it's crazy to do it. It's usually good for. I'm trying to see how many picks. Blockbuster trade. The Rams agree in principle send second overall pick. It wasn't even the first overall. 3 first-round picks, guys, and a second-round pick. So that's just coming up just a few spots there. That's not coming up as far as you know.
But he might have.
That's from 6 to 2. That's only 4 spots.
Yeah, Dallas might only have to go as far as number 2 because Shadura's not going.
Well, then that would still be 10 spots, man.
Yeah,
you know.
That's a lot.
And Cleveland would love that because they need players because
Right.
they're paying Deshaun Watson so much money.
No, they're
Now,
not going to
Tennessee
pay.
does it. Yeah, I would want 5 picks, man. And I would want this year's third-round pick because Tennessee don't have one. And then maybe invest into maybe either next year or 27 because, Arch will probably come out in 27.
Right. Well,
I'm looking way ahead.
yeah, my thing, one thing that's I'm put a little pin on is that situation in Cleveland is not looking good for Watson because
yeah, he
of,
re-aggravated that. His injury,
and there's a lot of underwriting in contracts about injuries and how they can get out of contracts. So I think that situation right there is that's gonna make more of a wave in the draft than Dallas trying to climb up. So there's a lot of things coming up, which is good for the draft. So
great content for us between now and April, brother.
Michael,
that was a great draft show. We have to do one again. Hopefully you're going to be good come April 20, whatever, that Thursday, man.
I'm going to check. Maybe we can even get together. Maybe I'll be.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make a trip down
Well, maybe. Last time it was awesome. I mean, the Titans are going to be picking 1. You follow the Giants. They're going to be picking 3. I think what the Jets, were they picking 7?
7,
6 or 7.
Yeah.
So you got the 3 teams that we have a little bit of access to. That'll be really interesting. Let's see how that goes. What do you think about McCarthy possibly being the Bears coach?
Again, I don't see him making any moves until he's actually out the door.
No, he's done.
I'm saying
they agree on years. Him and Jerry.
Yeah, I don't know. All I hear is a bunch of things, and if I'm McCarthy, would the Bears pick him up as a coach? That's a thing. I don't know if they want someone like him as a coach. So, they just got rid of a defensive-minded coach. So,
well, he's offensive, man.
Right. So I'm not sure if they're going to be just going straight to another because that's not their. They don't do good with offensive coaches, man. They had that. What's his name from who's in Kansas City now? And
they did. Yeah,
and that didn't fare too well for them.
Yeah, but you're talking about a guy who's won a Super Bowl versus a guy who was Matt Nagy, who's never been a head coach,
right? But
versus a guy who's won a Super Bowl, and I think he did the best he could. If you start to look at how crazy Jerry can be, and even worse, I think McCarthy did the best he could in Dallas. That they got their first road playoff win in 30 years, a couple years ago when they went down and beat Tom Brady when he was with Tampa.
Yeah, and I just think the Chicago family and ownership there, they're not patient anyways. And when they were patient, they stuck with a coach with like Lovie Smith. It was too long. So they got to get it together and get a plan going and see what they want out of that whole situation that they started over there. So
yeah, it is what it is.
They brought in a GM and a coach, remember? They brought in a GM and a coach. They brought in they brought in Uberflus and Poles.
Yeah. Now Poles is doing fine.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything about Poles. So
I mean, again, but if you're gonna go coaching offensive, you got to go younger. I wouldn't go because then
you'd rather go Ben Johnson from Detroit.
You got to go with somebody that can literally that Caleb Williams will listen to, right?
That's why I say McCarthy would be ideal. McCarthy's got the brass, I don't
know. I don't know if he will listen to someone like that, man.
Well, he's got to. I mean, you only got so much leverage, and at some point, you've already owned your second coach. I think he will, though. I think he will, and hopefully they do the right thing and hire McCarthy. That's my.
We've talked about him before, and how he is in his persona and his attitude. So,
and he got to humble himself a little bit.
Yeah, but he didn't really do too bad. He just the team didn't do as good as they could have on both ends, right? So, if you look at his stats, he's not a bust. He's just hadn't had.
I think he's okay. I just think Eberflus was terrible. You couldn't manage the games right, man. So let's. What do you think about last week here? We won't spend too much time, but we'll do a quick recap, man. Good call there. We're tied here. Chargers. That was their third road game, and I said this. The Browns will look great after they rested their starters. Mm-hmm. They should have rested, and this is all on Harbaugh. The Chargers should have rested those running backs. He should have rested everybody in week 18. They had all those. They couldn't really move anywhere else. They've already lost that division. And you could tell they got up early,
right?
But there was a point there about the second half defensively. They just fell apart. And then you heard Khalil Mack talking about retirement after the game. I mean.
I think the problem.
And then, of course, Houston just took off, and the onslaught began.
Yeah, I think the problem was that that defense couldn't make the stops when they should have. You didn't hear Max name much called during the game. No,
the engine just wouldn't start, man.
And then the Texans did right by just controlling the clock, and it was a very slow game. It took time for it to get going. Very methodical. And that I don't think with a player like Herbert, you shouldn't hold him back like that. He should have just been throwing the ball just every single play if he wanted to. He couldn't find anybody else. So the defense, they did. I said this. That's a young defense. They're fast. Stingley Jr. is he's
very good corner. They hit it out of the park with him.
Yeah, in that division. Yeah, that's right. They did. But so that defense is complementary. They play on both the line and the back end, and that youth served them right, but it's not enough.
No, I mean they'll probably get handled this week.
Yeah, they got to score points, and I don't think Texans have enough offensive power to score points. They got a couple guys there, but they're missing a few bullets in that armor. So in that armory. So I don't know, man. I think that the Chargers did what they could until they could, and then just felt they just weren't deep enough.
It's hard to depend on a second round rookie wide receiver as your lead guy, Ladd McConkey. And
he was on fire though. He was getting it.
Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah.
But he can't be the only guy. I mean, both of those running backs were banged up. Mm-hmm. Tight end by committee there, and they just kind of ran out of money. That former they did do the right deal by moving off that general manager. That guy overextended way too many players. Yeah. Mike Williams hurt all the time, gave him a big extension, and Darwin James as a safety gave him a big extension.
Kept Allen, and he was always injured. And
yeah. He made a lot of mistakes in Harbaugh and this new general manager staff. They're still trying to clean all that up. But Harbaugh says it's my fault. Love these guys, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, because he didn't say it publicly, but he knows he should have rested those guys. Week 18, I think they would have won that game. But rested late. They would look sharp like the Rams did against Minnesota.
No, this is Herbert's first playoff.
It's the second playoff. Remember, against Jacksonville.
Second playoff. You didn't see what the other quarterback was doing when he had his back against the wall, right? So where is that urgency? Where is that it factor that he had when in college? Was he already beat up, too many sacks, too many, took too many punches, or when can we see Herbert from the third, fourth week of the season? That guy that has that killer mindset.
I think he was holding back in that game for whatever reason. I think he was trying to stay within the game plan. Yeah. And he was holding back, and he can't hold back next time. You know, I think they'll get it together. They'll get it together.
Well, don't got
That
much
roster's
time.
just got a lot of holes in it, man.
Yeah.
Got a lot of holes in it. Lucky to be in the playoffs. Good call there. Baltimore also thought Pittsburgh. I thought the Heat would be off Tomlin this week by beating Baltimore, and now the Heat is even more. It's hotter than I thought it would be. He's 6 straight playoff game losses for Tomlin. I feel like it's kind of getting stale. He's kind of like Pete Carroll was up at Seattle at the end. Like a Belichick, but Pittsburgh staff, they're stubborn, man. They're not going to move on to him. I think, like my man Ralph Williams says, he's going to do 2 more years. He'll retire, and then they'll finally get him another coach and put a spark in this team where the bar can be not just get to the playoffs. Steelers, they've got 6 Super Bowl rings, man.
I think their biggest problem is coordinator getting the offense going, and keeping getting points on the board. The defense has been okay. The defense was a problem in the playoffs because they didn't do good in that department.
All that money they got in defense, and man, they 299 yards they gave up in rushing. Can you believe that? I mean, and Henry had a field day against them, man. Almost 200 himself.
Yeah. I mean,
it was a great win, though. Flip side, Ravens, they look good, man. And I've been watching this Hard Knocks there, the behind-the-scenes stuff, and I love the little mic up moments there with John Harbaugh. He's like, wow, did he make that play? He's acting like he's a fan there rather than a coach of Lamar there. Big win there for the Ravens. That's a mental hurdle for Lamar Jackson. It's another playoff win, and it's beating the Steelers, although this Steelers team looks like they quit at times on Saturday night.
I think we kind of, if you break down, Lamar Jackson doesn't lack confidence. What he lacks in is his teammates following through. He's trying to do it. He's doing opposite what Herbert is doing. He's not holding back. He's making throws. He's trying to make runs, and he wants his offensive line. He wants everybody to step up with him. Like, when he's out there, he's running and gunning, and he wants everybody to run and gun too. And sometimes what happens is that, in the past, he's gotten intercepted or he's gotten, stuck. Like he tried to make a quick run and then somebody just stuck him hard. So, I don't think that he needs confidence, man. I don't think that's it. It's just give him a good game plan and don't.
Well, he had a bad playoff record.
Right. But don't play from behind. That's another thing, man. These guys, you put Lamar.
He said that that's his words, not mine. He said it. He kind of tensed up in the playoffs, and maybe you're saying he's trying to do too much back in the past.
Yeah, because that's
letting the game come to him.
Right.
Gotcha.
But I don't think it's a confidence thing at all. I just think like you're trying to play from behind, or you're trying to get the next touchdown, and he's like, I've seen the Ravens, and I'm like, when Lamar's there, and it's like, man, y'all need, remember they had Hollywood Brown, and I was like, man, y'all need to catch the ball. Like, I'm like,
well, sometimes he would get excited and overthrow him, but he did hit him one time for a deep route against Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. But that was in the playoffs.
Yeah, it wasn't a playoff. Well, you're talking about the Miami game. I know he destroyed them, but he did hit him a couple times in the playoffs, but Tennessee already jumped on him in that 2019 game. He was only in his second year, though.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing. Todd Monken is
the difference
between Todd Monken adjusting his play calling style in the playoffs, the offensive coordinator, and Lamar losing that extra weight. They're really leaning into the read option because they got a lot of criticism for where they played in the Kansas City game last year. Not running is enough and trying to throw more. Even though that game was only a 7-point game, it wasn't like it was a blowout, but still. I wonder if they're going to do that against Buffalo. Of course, we'll talk about that a little bit later. It's a freaking heavyweight fight, man. It's a good win, though. I'm saying it's a good hurdle because he's got a bad record against the Steelers. So that's, it's like Peyton finally beating the Patriots in the playoffs. Remember, they were down 21 points at one time?
Right.
And he got to the Super Bowl for the first time back in 06, 07. Any thoughts on Buffalo, Denver? I mean, it was tight for a little while.
Right.
Then Denver kind of just played. They kind of did like the Chargers. It just kind of ran out of talent.
And they was making
ran out of gas.
Making small mistakes, man. You can't catch up from those, so.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think now Keith thinks that Robert Griffin is like Jay? I think Jaden Daniels is better than Griffin.
The Robert Griffin?
Yeah. Griffin was a fast runner, but he did not have the touch of this guy,
I mean,
nor the fourth quarter presence before his injury, if you ask me.
I think Rob Griffin has a quicker release.
You like Griffin's release better than Daniels?
No. Listen to what I'm saying. I think Griffin had a quicker relief, but I think Jane Daniels is a better, like you said, better touch on the ball and has a better, can recover faster and better than Robert Griffin. Like Robert Griffin, once he had to start going and running and try to throw the ball, he it's not the same as like what Jaden Daniels can do. I don't think. Like when I try to think about how he played, I think they're just two different types of quarterbacks. I mean, even though they're running and throwing the ball, they're just two different. The way that they just manage their, what the game and things like that. I don't think he's comparable right now, and that's a good thing. That's what you want to be. You want to be
this guy's already won a road playoff game.
Yeah, I mean,
I know Griffin got hurt, but still.
And I'm not saying that they're not comparable because one's better than the other. I'm just saying right now, like the guys just started playing in the league, so and even with Robert Griffin, it was something different to see.
Griffin he was quicker. He's probably quicker. He ran like a
I think I think Robert Griffin was maybe a little bit taller too, right?
No, man.
Not about the same.
Probably. I think I want to say Daniel's like 6'2", 6'3". Griffin was like 6'1". Griffin was just incredibly fast.
Yeah, I'm saying he would rifle that ball fast. He would, he was more like timing. The Jaden Daniels, if he doesn't see it, he's not gonna. He's not a. It's not that he doesn't time well, but he's better at the second chances, I think.
Okay. Okay. But you know what? It was still a great win. Tampa just made a mistake there at the end. I mean,
I think, Tampa
kind of gave them that game with that fumble, man.
Well, it was three things that happened. Tampa, they did that fumble happened. They lost two players on the defense to injury. One came back on the field and was still injured. And then the too many flags, man. Too many penalties, man. And
they're a physical style team.
Yeah, and they catch up. They catch up to you because the thing is, like, you're already 3, getting ready to go 3 and out, and then you make a mistake like a holding penalty or like whatever it was, and then and those penalties happen because one of your best defenders wasn't on the field too. So, like kudos to them. They did a great job. Washington did and took advantage, and Baker tried. You saw that he tried to run and do a few things.
That'll haunt him all season.
Yeah, after making that fumble, he could have just called it in, but no, he went and did what they could, and they needed to score two more touchdowns, and they weren't able to do that. So
yeah, well, it was a 4-point game, and I want to say it was 5-6 minutes left. Washington going for it on 4th down like that on 4th and 2. I mean, if they miss that and Baker Mayfield don't fumble, we're talking about Dan Quinn. Like, what are you doing? Just take the 3 points and try to get the ball because I think they had like 2 timeouts left too.
Right.
He kind of pulled a Dan. What is Dan's last name? Our whatchamacallit there up in Detroit. I want to call him Dan Quinn.
No, his Dan. I got you saying. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Would pull one of his stunts,
Right?
Who's always going for it on fourth down, and I hope he don't do it this Sunday.
Dan
But either way, man, I don't know why his name is slipping my eye. It's a big freaking. I talk to the guy every freaking week, talk about him.
Campbell.
They didn't play last week, but anyways, that's what Dan Quinn was doing, and so. They caught a break there, but hey, sometimes you get lucky and whatnot. Man, I mean, you guys, y'all are really giving Griffin a lot of. I just think this guy could potentially be a big star in this league. It's just 1 year, but man, his fourth quarter rating. Have you seen his fourth quarter ratings?
It's ridiculous.
It's like Montana stuff, man.
Look, he's exciting to watch, man. I like the ball in his hand, so
I mean, he's got to stay healthy and everything.
Right.
I get that. But
again,
he showed this on NBC the other night, man. Check this out: 72% completion percentage in the fourth quarter, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's the most by rookie in NFL history. I mean, Daniels is all that, man. He's definitely rookie of the year. Now, of course, the league's going to make adjustments, and I get that, but I don't know, man. If I'm with Washington, I'm going all in next year to try to win a Super Bowl, man.
Yeah, you have to put some more,
put some money into it, and because you got the guy and you got Cliff Kingsbury at OC for another year,
right? They're going to because they have them. That's a new leadership and they got money. They see what they have. So I don't have any qualms of what Washington's going to do next season. Like I think they're going to be ready for that, but they got to see how far they go this year. So
yeah, they got to tighten up that run D. I'll talk about that. Any thoughts on Minnesota, LA Rams? Looks like Sam Darnold's stocks done went down, man, after 2 bad weeks in a row.
Well, I mean, it's first time for everything. I'm not a big Darnold fan. I don't try to, hold him up.
To be.
Right, so,
well, he was on a tear there for a while.
You cannot.
Now he's cooled off a little bit.
You cannot. This guy had a great season, and you can't take that away from him at all.
No.
Like, what maybe was this too much? Who knows? But this kid needs to focus, man, and he needs to just put it behind him and just keep growing.
Do you think they keep him, or you think maybe
I'd keep him, and I would
McCarthy?
No, I would keep him, and I would put him on the
franchise.
Franchise. I'll tag him for sure. And then. And make it a competition.
I think that's the safest move. Just tag him, man.
Yeah, just tag him.
Yeah, I don't know about giving him 4 years,
he's not going to go and do any better on any other team.
Right.
And with any other coach. And right now he's in a good situation on a decent team with a good coach and a good system that he can be successful in. Although it wasn't what he showed in the last 2 games, but people can grow from that. Like, even Gino did that last year, the year before last, and then now this year you see that, the only problem was that was a tough situation for them in Seattle. But look, man, like he was coming from a mess. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. And you know something? If JJ McCarthy comes back from that meniscus and he beats him out in camp, that's football. That best man wins. I don't think he will, but he might. Right. He might, and then you have a good problem because then you can trade one or the other. So, you're right. I think that's probably a good idea to go ahead and franchise him.
If you let him go, he could potentially put you out of the playoffs next season. That'll be the worst.
I don't know. He's had some rough stints there with your Jets and Carolina
and the 49ers. I mean, he didn't.
49ers even let him walk.
And all of those teams have issues. Yeah. And the number one issue is that they don't have offensive coordinators. So
right. Well, what do you think about Green Bay? They kind of fell apart at the end. Did you hear that story about AJ Brown reading a book on the sideline? I mean, is Philadelphia so good that they're that bored and complacent? Or is there something up with that coach there?
You know that they rank high in everything except like
chemistry.
No, except for yards per catch. So
Yeah,
Even
he's annoyed by that. AJ Brown is.
Yeah, and that's something that they don't have to worry about though. If he's winning the game, he's controlling the game, managing it, and making sure that they're not in a deficit, then he's going to be okay. But you have two of the most dynamic wide receivers to use at your disposal. So
yeah.
I would, if I was coaching, I would recommend them throw the ball, and don't not short passes, just let it rip.
Well, maybe that too. I mean, plus I do think
because you can run the ball how many times?
I want to get him the ball just to, even if it's a screen, just to keep his butt happy, or just air quote keep him engaged. I used to say this. People used to say that about Randy Moss and T.O. You just got to keep so they won't get out there drifting,
right?
You know, because they're way out, but away from the rest of the team. They're kind of on that island. They're divas. You just got to feed that ego every now and then. Same thing with Diggs back in the day.
Just throw a ball out there. I mean, and throw it up and high, and if they don't catch it, fine. But don't throw it short. You're more likely to get an interception if you shorted like 20, 30-yard pass. Just go up, man. Throw 40, 60 yards. Throw it up high. Throw it to the.
Well, they may have safeties on top. I don't know if I would do that.
But you got two.
Not unless you're over midfield. You act like you're talking about doing it on first down.
Well, the problem, Robert, is that you got two of the most dynamic wide receivers.
Yeah, I know, man.
Right? So just use their skill and ability, man. Don't be throwing short passes and then
what kills me is this: they're winning. Why do these guys care? Of course, Sirianni didn't say nothing about it. But I thought winning was everything. But apparently, these receivers, they have to have a good game and win. They just can't just win games, which I don't know, kills me, man. Let's see. We'll jump to the Texans, Kansas City. What do you think about that game coming up Saturday? We'll touch on the college game. We'll kind of put all that in together. I ain't forgot about the national championship.
Yeah,
You think, hey, listen, the Chiefs they haven't played a game with the starters since Christmas, man.
Yeah, and
that's almost a month from now.
Yeah, and that's good for them because they're the only team that has been playing like almost 3 years nonstop, 3 seasons nonstop. So that month off.
You're okay with them getting 3.5 weeks off?
Yeah, and I think they're gonna be okay. This game is gonna be it's gonna be close, but I think that with Mahomes and it's gonna be maybe 32-21. I don't think the Texans are gonna have enough depth. They have to score enough points. As much as their defense is gonna give the offense an opportunity, they don't have enough depth in offense to put up points.
Yeah, Tank Dell's still out, of course.
Yes, I just
Diggs is out.
I see the Chiefs. They're gonna come out kind of slow and ruggish, and people are gonna hate this game. But they're gonna come out towards the end and put those points up. So
that's about what I think that this would happen. I mean, if you recall, 5 years ago, 2019 into 2020, Houston came out and got them down 24-0.
That's right.
And they caught them by the middle of the second quarter.
That's what I'm saying.
This could kind of go that way, right?
And look, you got
it's really cold up there. That's going to be like 20 degrees, 18, something like that.
You got Pacheco coming back. You got Holly Brown will have more time with Mahomes. You have Kelsey getting rest. Mahomes
getting over that ankle sprain.
Getting out the sprain. So and a lot of edgy players. So and the defense is young and they're gonna get going. So the Chiefs will be all right. I don't think that they're gonna get as much of a scare from the Texans, man.
Yeah, I'm thinking 27-20 Kansas City. You're saying what, 32?
21, yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds about right. We'll go until tomorrow night. I keep thinking it's still Thursday. So I gotta work tomorrow. Saturday night, folks. Detroit, Washington should be a wild shootout game. But here's my issue with Washington. I didn't realize they're 30th in run defense, and that Detroit can run the ball. David Montgomery will be back, and Jamar Gibbs. I think they're going to be able to run the ball pretty well and keep Jaden Daniels off the field. They're about a 10-point favorite. coming off that bye week. I think Gibbs at least get 100 all-purpose yards. Detroit wins 30-17, goes back to the NFC Championship game. What do you think about that game? Do you think Washington could put off that upset, man? Be a heck of an upset.
I think it's going to be
house money.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think both teams' of confidence have been boosted up. Detroit's getting some players back. They're also getting back their cornerback too. So from
Gardner Davis.
Yeah, so
I thought he wasn't coming back until the NFC Championship game if they made it. But
so I think that
they're pretty healthy though.
The Washington's is 1 year green, 1 year too green, because they got a young defense too. They're fast, but I don't know if they're gonna be able to keep. They're gonna battle it out. I think this is gonna be close. I think it's gonna be 27-24, and I think Detroit will win from a field goal kick, man.
Dang. Well, that would be tighter than the Lions fans would want it.
Yeah, because the thing
Washington's
is that
red hot.
If you
playing free.
If you let Goff go out there and try to make short passes and put it in his hands, you're gonna lose this game, man. He's not.
See, I wouldn't want to have that super aggressive approach. If I'm Detroit, I'm just running the ball because I know I got the line to do it.
Yep.
You just pull a Philadelphia on them. Just run and just overwhelm them. Where that 30th ranked run defense and really make them think about what they need to get in this offseason.
I know, right?
Although I think they're a great story, and I love me some Jaden Daniels. I tell you what, if Philadelphia plays the way they played last week and the Rams play the way they did Monday night, the Rams will win this game. But that ain't going to happen.
No, and
it's also supposed to snow in this game.
Yeah, I mean the weather's gonna force them to run the ball, which is good for Philly, but it's bad for the Rams because they're gonna have to figure out how to control Barkley.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me your analysis. What you think?
This game, Stafford keeps you usually in the game. You're gonna get 20 points. It's going to be probably 27-21. I think same thing, like 27-21. I think the Eagles will get the ball a couple more times, but with Barkley, they'll actually end up in the end zone. Something at times that Green Bay defense can play better than the Rams. Although the Rams look really good on Monday night. Oh, they look great, but that's not they.
That's a fast track. This is on the road too on a short week.
Right.
Here's a write-up on Matt Stafford in cold weather. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford, this is from ML Football, is awful while playing in the rain, is what it says. It says snow games expected in Philadelphia Sunday. Stafford is 1-8 record, 54.6 completion percentage, 11 interceptions, along with an awful 76.0 passer rate. Now, that could have been all with Detroit back when they were terrible, but still, that's not good. And remember, Saquon Barkley had a field day, 255 yards when they played the Rams earlier this year. So
that's what I'm saying.
I'm thinking probably 30-22. I think the Eagles win and Hurts gets it moved going back again. And probably Barkley, who didn't have a great game Sunday, probably has a better game coming up this Sunday. It's more for he's going to be more the focal point.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure that out, man. Like, you got to stop the run, and that allows, the two wide receivers to go crazy if need be.
Yeah. And it's a 6.5-point spread, so that's about what, 30-22, that would be 8. So the Eagles would get the spread there, although I'd kind of like to see the Rams beat them, but they help out Detroit in the NFC Championship game. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
One of the things I hark on. I sound old school, but defense wins games, man. So that defense ain't going to allow.
They got layers and layers of defenders out there, and Rams have got some players, but they just don't have enough on that side of the ball. Man, this Buffalo game, dude, I think it's the game of the year up until this point of this season. You know,
this is a Super Bowl for me. Like, this is the game that's going to be more exciting than the Super Bowl this year.
It could very well be more exciting in the Super Bowl, although a Kansas City Ravens or Kansas City Buffalo would be good too. You know, when the points first came out, the book had Buffalo being favored. Now the public said, no, Baltimore is a 1.5 point favorite. You know, the Ravens beat them 35-10 back in September. Buffalo had 3 defensive starters out, including Matt Milano. Ravens still probably won't have Flowers back. But, you know, a lot of the national people are kind of leaning Buffalo. Some of your Fox Sports, Colin Cowherd, he's calling for Buffalo to win.
They're all talking about
because it's up in Buffalo.
Right.
I just don't see it. I mean, I like what Allen's done. You got the Ravens have 8 Pro Bowlers to not including Lamar, Josh Allen, and his left tackle are the only 2 Pro Bowlers for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm thinking it's going to be a cold, snowy day. They got the over number really high at like 50-something. I think it's more lower. It's 23-20. I think the Ravens win. Now, Justin Tucker could screw this up. That he's not as good as he used to be. That kicker for Baltimore. Other than that, I think the Ravens win this game, man. 23-20 is what I'm calling.
Yeah, I think the Ravens have way too much depth in on their defense and even on their offense. Like, I think this is not a good matchup at all. This is more like a quarterback.
I like their tight ends better than I like Buffalo's tight ends.
Right, like, so, you calling it and saying the team as a team, they're not as good. They've been able to scratch out some wins here and there, and they've been able to score points with Allen being that good quarterback that he is. But I've never been a big fan of Buffalo, and I'm not because I'm not a fan, but I still think they lack some personnel, man. And that defense is not as strong as that defense, that young defense that the Ravens have, and they don't have a thumper like Henry. So Henry keeps Tucker on the sidelines. Keep the kicking game away from the field, and you'll have a good game.
How do you see the score playing out?
I think that the Ravens are gonna give it to them, and I think it's gonna be like 24 to like maybe 16. Like, I don't think Buffalo can score. Like, I think the Ravens defense is gonna do a good job. So
yeah, they're pretty consistent, man. Only thing I guess that could cost only thing that cost Baltimore this game really is be a bunch of turnovers.
Didn't we see the Ravens go out and beat them 35-12 or 35-20?
Yeah, now they did have some injuries on defense. I don't think it'll be that.
How much more better do you think Buffalo is now than they were when the Ravens
played? A lot better defensively, but not that much. They've also gave up big games later in the year to the Rams. So they don't have the personnel. They just don't. Now, if you flip players, Allen would have a Super Bowl ring if he was on Baltimore. I think Allen would have beat Kansas City last year.
As much as I dislike Buffalo because of where I'm from and how I feel, Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Did you see that throw he threw to the running back on 4th and 10 the other day? I mean, that was money. It's like 27 yards side pass, dude. Just crazy. Right in the back of the end zone on 4th.
He's an amazing quarterback. I'm not just saying this to say this, but Burrow and Allen need to get out of their towns. They need to go to bigger,
that's true.
Bigger market teams, and then need to get gone fast, because
get to a better market. What do you think about this national championship game? Ohio State, Notre Dame. Kudos to Ohio State. They beat Texas last Friday.
Mm-hmm. I think that Notre Dame will match up with them for about 2 quarters, and that's it. And then Ohio State's, I still think they're just a little bit deeper. And even because Notre Dame kind of, Notre Dame has to out physical Ohio State, and even if they do, Ohio State has enough in the back end to come in.
This would be an impressive run if they beat Penn State, Georgia, and Ohio State. That Freeman, his stock will be way up, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
man.
I want to see that. I really want to see Notre Dame win, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think
What's
it's gonna be a good game, but I just think that the Ohio State from after the Michigan game, they're like, we're not gonna lose no more. And they have,
I'm thinking 23-19.
and they
Ohio
play like
State.
that, Robert. They play like that. It's even when they're down by 7 points, all of a sudden you just see 14
That
points.
was a well of a play that guy did for Ohio State, wasn't it? That defensive end, Slayer, whatever his name is.
Man, these kids are like that. And the problem is when you match them up with the same, offensive lineman and a defensive lineman, you match them up. They the same age, sophomore and this guy's like a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, and you're like, oh my gosh, like what's going on over there, Ohio State?
Ron Day, he will redeem himself now. If he loses this game, then everybody's going to throw him under the bus, and that's going to be a lot. That'll be interesting if Notre Dame pulls it off. But I'm saying Ohio State wins. They were my preseason pick. I thought they'd beat Georgia instead of.
Good job for you, man.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I was reading up on them, man. I was just calling balls and strikes.
You know, like somebody be like Notre Dame forever. Like, I mean, I didn't
think Notre Dame would beat Penn State last week. So
they've done a great job. They're just not deep enough, man. But what I like about them is that they're playing out. They're playing out the game.
They have a good strength and conditioning coach.
They
have a good push in second half of games. I know.
Yeah, I like that, but I don't think it's enough against Ohio State, man. I mean,
no, Ohio State's got and Michael's asking about Miami. Yeah, Michael McDonald survived in Miami. He'll be on the hot seat in 25. The Dolphins, if he's still there, Mike.
He might end up being a coordinator for the New York Giants. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true, man. All right, man. Have a good weekend. Appreciate you coming in, playing a hurt there, Rocky.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I made it.
To give you a good shout out here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, man. Have a good one.
Have a good one, boss.